Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Part of the Culture podcast. I'm here with Miss Leena Mendoza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, JD. I'm honored to be here with you and always honored to work with you. I mean, you're definitely very gifted and talented in many ways. So thank you
I
so much.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Same with you. So I brought Leena on here because she's really good at connecting people, and she's kind of, I've met with her son, I've met with some of her other contacts, but when she was introducing me to those people, we actually got caught on the phone for maybe, 45 minutes to an hour. And she really poured into me, and she really made me feel special, and talking about taking my brand a little bit more serious, and talked about my skills. And, if you've seen, like, I've always kind of wanted to do it, but Leena was really the force that, like, now I have my courses up. I'm getting a lot more intentional with my coaching. And so Leena's the one who kind of gave me that extra nudge. And so I just wanted to bring her on here and just let you guys hear her words. She's so powerful. So thank you. I just, I'll start by saying thank you. What's your story?
So JD, so originally my story, my original testimony, I would say, is definitely having been a victim of domestic violence and have had to work very tremendously difficult past that. And so the mindset of lack and the victim mindset. And so really having to build out from that, and then really, continue to work every day on my core, down to the DNA, to make sure that I'm healed from that. And so it's definitely a daily work. But I fast forward to now, so my son is, I've connected you with my son, and so he's 25. So I no longer am this single mom in that way where I was kind of meek and a victim, but really wanting to be, a strong support system for our community and elevating people to high levels of leadership and entrepreneurship. And so, one of my strongest core values, next to leadership, is really providing the economic growth for others. And so, I think the term that DJ Khaled uses most popularly is secure the bag. And so what are we doing to make sure that we secure the bag, not only for our families, but definitely speaking to what you teach in that wealth empowerment and that wealth development, for long term. And so, so we go from that poverty mindset and switching over to the investment mindset. And so that's why I definitely value and honor you for the gifts that you bring to the table, because these are incredible. This is an incredible amount of wisdom that you bring. And so I love listening to you, because I'm like, oh my man, like that's some power. And so I don't know that people realize the kind of how much wealth you bring, not only, how you talk about physical health, that's a wealth mentality, also how you invest in your money, but also how you work with people relationally, that's a wealth management. And so, because who and then how you grow is definitely long term is a wealth mindset. So, so I'm not sure if people understand your capacity. But being such a young man and already having 4 or 5 lines of business,
Yeah.
hashtag heavy hitter. So
Yeah.
you're humble, but you're still a heavy hitter. So
I appreciate that.
yeah. So I mean, humble in character, but humble doesn't mean that is in your pocketbook. And
Yeah.
so
I want
I
that
guess,
pocketbook big, but
yeah.
just because you can have more impact, and I think you have to be intentional about it. For me, I just keep hearing, like, if you want something, you really have to go get it. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's even as far as, like, just being Leena uses the word intentional leadership, intentional a lot, just being very intentional about, okay, all right, there's an opportunity here, take advantage of the opportunity, take a piece of that, and put that money to the side. So I'm trying to become very intentional about my processes and what I do. But the goal always being to help people reach their goals. And so fortunately, a byproduct of doing that is money.
Absolutely. So what I already, so why, I guess definitely why our values are aligned, JD, is because I know you helped us out. And so and I'm very honored to work with you, because I mean, not only did I leave the government, like I left the senior management role, very well paid. And I said, bye, Felicia. And I said yes to my dreams. And so, and this is one of the most difficult places to do that in the Silicon Valley. And this is where the global decisions are made. And I don't think people realize that. And so I know this is kind of your backyard and so forth. It's normal. But for me, seeing a Maserati every 10th car is not normal. And so this is massive wealth. And so, people are like, oh, look at a Mercedes. I'm like, oh, every other cars are Mercedes in the Bay. But here, I mean, it's not just expensive, it's incredible wealth and opportunity. And when you understand that a lot of the decisions for the world are stemmed right here from the Silicon Valley, it really can put things in perspective. You know, you seeing you flip a home and then with your bare hands. And so I mean, I don't think you had any YouTube then. I think you just had to learn on the job.
Yeah,
So
I had good people. I had good people around me.
right. But so why do I say that? It's because some people are like, you could YouTube that. I'm like, JD didn't have YouTube. He
Yeah.
had to learn on the job. There was no time to do
Yeah.
YouTube. So he had to hustle and he had to listen. And you know, you made it look easy, but I'm like, I don't know if you guys realize that, but that is not easy.
No, it's not.
And literally, yeah. And then literally
Important.
what a person can make in a year, you did it in a few weeks. I
Yeah.
mean, powerful. And you can,
So,
you know, so that's powerful to me. So I know when you see you do that, I'm like, it motivates me to work harder and to build more in our community.
nah, for sure. You know, it was my first project, and so, you know, we are in the process of selling the house for a tremendous amount of money. We didn't because of COVID-19. We probably took a like a $30,000 hit. Um, but you know, I just did it to learn. So now that I know the process, you know, I can rinse and repeat. So soon as we sell that, then I can instantly start looking at other deals. I'm already sitting down with people, kind of looking for other areas to invest in. And so, you know, but it definitely is powerful and definitely helped my brand.
Awesome.
You
Yeah.
know, I wanna, you know, to be, what are, you know, I know that you help people, you do coaching. You know, what are three things that people can do to secure the bag? What are three things, you know, actionable steps that anybody listening to this can take to be more intentional about securing the bag?
Okay. So what I do in intentional leadership is I specifically work with those who want to advance in executive leadership. So advancing them to C-suite executives, CEOs, senior vice president, CFOs. And so also working with those who own businesses. And so they're not rookies in that sense. And so they're definitely well established, but bringing them to the next level. But what you can find in each level is that whether you're a $10 an hour owner or where you earn $10 million, we still have the same struggle. And we struggle with fear. We struggle with courage. We struggle with doubt. And so really, first and foremost, always working on mindset. And so, so if you follow JD, which I know a lot of people do, one of the incredible things he does as a spiritual discipline is he takes some time to himself. He goes in the mountains and nature and he reflects. And that's a very strong leadership quality. So first, always continue to work on your mindset and your growth mindset. And so being around people who are better than you so that you can figure out how to get to that level. So not only just, you know, exercise. So that's an important thing. Exercise your body, growing your mind. You know, if maybe you thought you can only earn $15 an hour, or maybe you thought you could only make $50,000 an hour. But really, it's not just about what the money you make, it's about the value that you bring to the table. So the three top things I would share, so not only just mindset, but also really identifying what you want in life, because most often I find people are not very unclear about that. And also, how are you giving back to the community? Because it's really about, it's a big picture. And so are you donating to the community with your time? You know, do you want to position yourself to provide scholarships at some point? Maybe in cash. You know, is it that so are you like JD? You're like, I've made that building, I made that building. And so, right. And so you might see JD today, like, oh yeah, he flipped that house and he's very humble. But I say that because imagine a family now has a nicer home and he won't get to meet that family. And he just,
Yeah.
you know, you washed your hands and you had those knee pads and you're like, man, that was tough work. And then you transition into to buildings and housing 100 families. And so you only can see the mustard seed of faith at this time with JD, but you don't see the growth and the harvest in the end. And so, so really definitely the mindset. So for me, is like faith. So I'm a woman of faith. I believe in Jesus Christ. So I pray, I work my scriptures like it's my life, and then continue to have that clarity, helping those who want to advance, and then also giving back. And so, you know, so JD's an expert, and so that's why I refer my clients to him. They're already wealthy, they're already successful, and then also referring my son, so he wants to learn about how to be a kingdom builder as well, like JD. So I thought, you know, so I refer to JD because he's an expert, and he knows his stuff. And so I can't wait till he can, you know, to see him continue to build, because he's going to soon be where it's not that he will always provide that value, but it's also that it will not be free anymore. It will not be at a point. And so, and it's going to teach us to grow, because we have to reach that level of investment. So we have to, if you charge $5,000, and we have to raise that, to that level of investment and pay you for that, because now you continue to bring more value, and we capitalize off that. So
For sure.
if we're investing 5,000 and making 50, then that's not a bad return.
Not
So
at all. Not at
right.
all. I
Yeah.
definitely think, even with my courses and stuff, even when I think your son just got my course, and I was thinking to myself, because I believe the course is like $19.99 or something like that, $20. And, I'm still new at selling courses and things of that nature and charging for my services. I charge for the master class. But I was really thinking about it. I was like, if her son works this right, this could like make him a millionaire, or it could put some real money in his pocket. And so I'm glad that I took that first step in creating it, and it's okay that I'm uncomfortable. That's part of the growth process. But you do start seeing the value, and you do start. I taught this lady. I talked to her this morning. I taught this lady how to buy stocks. I sat in her kitchen. It was actually my business partner on real estate. We sat in her kitchen, and she bought her. I taught her, this is how you buy your first stock. Then she attended the stock summit, the online stock summit. She was one of the attendants, her and her boyfriend. And today she's been serious, a lot more serious than me. And she obviously knows how to use debt and things in a different thing. But she was able to she has a interest-free line of credit. She took some of that. She took about 25 G's and put it into her brokerage account. And she just made, this last week, she said she made like a little over $3,000 in the last 10 days from the information that I gave her. And so I think it's super cool. I have a little bit different strategy. I'm kind of more of a tortoise. She's a little more of the hare, but nothing's wrong with that strategy. And so it's just cool because she took a $20 course and took her knowledge and made 3 G's from it. So I think that's super cool, to see those types of things. And so I'm excited seeing people's journeys with the information that I'm giving them.
So the value you bring to the table, JD, it's definitely acclimating our mindset to new opportunities, understanding how money works and letting our money work for us. And it's definitely such a common concept for you, but for the rest of us, it's not. So I too have to invest in your program. And I know as I see you grow, it's going to cost me more, and I'm okay with that. And so, so my son is screenshotting me. And so I'm like, I guess he gave up Starbucks because he's investing in the Starbucks brand. He's like, I'm not buying Nike, I'm buying Nike stock.
Yeah.
And for a kid who loves Jordan, likes sells shoes, like I mean, if you the numbers and then you're like, your immediate response is always like, you put that in a stock. And to see him just transform so immediate, I mean, it's powerful, right? So God gave you these gifts, and so there's a scripture, 1 Peter 4:10. So God gives you these gifts, and your job is to use them to manifest the kingdom and to multiply. And so as you work with different levels, like millionaires and billionaires, right? That level that you give, it is a different price point. And it's not because you charge the millionaire more, it's because it's a different value. And so people don't understand that. They think, oh, that's not cool, you're charging rich people more, or it's not that. And so kind of example, so Walmart, right, you can buy clothes there, right, and you can buy clothes at Macy's. So when you go to Macy's, people don't say, I can buy that at Walmart. It's the value you bring to the table, right? So people are unapologetic about their product or service. So
that's cool.
I mean, $3,000. I mean, people work very hard for $3,000. So for you to do that in a stock, I mean, that's very impressive.
Oh yeah, in a week. You know what I mean? Some people don't make $3,000 in a week ever in their entire life. So, but
and it's not working for it. I mean, you're not having to put knee pads on, or
she still had to work. She still had to do, but yeah, it's not backbreaking work. She just sat in front of her computer. She gathered information. She's very intentional, and she's an intelligent person regardless. And so she just took the information that I gave to her and ran with it. But it's just like you said, you give the right information to the right person, they're gonna do magnificent, magical things with it. So it just speaks to her. Like, she's a very intelligent person. She's my business partner and the person who actually guided me through the real estate project. And so so what are so right now, to secure the bag, I took some notes, and you said have the right mindset. I completely and utterly believe on that. I think that's number one. You see, even with me developing courses, I'm having to get comfortable and with charging and with and so that's a growth. So I have to have a growth mindset, and you have to be, and I say have the right mindset because you're not going to be good in the beginning. It's going to take a while to grow, and you have to have the right mindset to go from where you are to where you want to be, because it is such a, you do have to constantly grow, and there is growing pains, and you lose friends sometimes. And there's a lot of stuff that happens because, the guys who you could sit around and just chill with, they're not going to understand, like, hey guys, I want to make a course. And we're like, what? And so if they're not making courses, or, hey, I'm trying to charge $1,500, $3,000 for my personal service, that's a different conversation. So you have to have the right mindset to go from that to where you want to be. Always giving back to the community. I also think this is, I said mindset's number one, but I think that there's a certain charge and motivation that you get from working with the community and giving back that you can't get from anywhere else, from any other source. When you know that a piece of all you do goes to helping out the better, and then once you start seeing it really work, like to where you can hop on the phone with someone and their son is now buying Starbucks stock instead of Starbucks coffee, then it's like that, how much energy, if that was a Duracell battery being put in, like that's a big battery that just, a fire was lit. And so I would only have been able to get that energy by giving back. And then faith, prayer, and scriptures.
Yeah.
I got baptized, and the only agreement that I made with God when I got baptized is that I'm going to trust anything that happens in my life. I'm going to have faith in your process. And so trust me, there's a lot of times where I don't fully understand the road, even, with the COVID thing, and, some of my relationships in my life, and not being able to do things that other people are able to do. It is tough at times, but I said, you know what? I made this one promise, like I'm going to trust the process. And so that's huge. That's a huge proponent. So I agree with all of these things. These are the, you talk about the Bible, like don't build your house on sand, but build it on solid rock. So these things right here are really the solid rock to build your house on. What
Absolutely.
else? What other tips would you have for people trying to secure the bag?
So what I would tell you that will always help you with the win is, so I say this very consistently. So as a leader, you have to have the 3 C's, and that's character, communicate, and connect. And so I've even shared with my students, you can see Miss Mendoza on the news with accusations of selling cocaine. There'll be 100 lawyers who will show up and say that's impossible. So
Yeah.
your character will always, always be your brand and who you are and how you deliver, how you communicate with your peers and your friends, and, sharing information, being polite and respectful, and then also how you connect with people, how you build relationships, how you treat them. And so it's always going to be about your heart. And so I share that because it'll help you get hired, right? All those 3 C's, but also it will help you get married or stay in a relationship. And so I studied why millennials were getting fired, and because I worked with them as a college professor. And then I also studied why they got hired, and there was a similarity. It was those 3 C's. And I said, you know what, if I teach them the same thing to get married. And so a lot of my students remember that. They go, Miss Mendoza, that helped us for our life. And so a lot of them have graduated with their master's already. My most successful student has graduated her master's and then has 4 properties. So I do include that financial pillar in there, because as a leader, having financial acumen is a responsibility. A lot of people don't know that. So there are leaders out there with titles. They're really kind of not necessarily leader. They're a leader in the community made by title, but they don't have their finances in order. And so it is a responsibility as a leader to have financial acumen. So making sure you're growing your money and being responsible. And so it doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters how you grow it, right? So I say the 4
Yeah.
things. So it's how to earn your money, grow your money, how to grow your money, how to earn your money, how to save it, how to invest it, how to give it. And so it's a very core value in my course as well, is learn how to give it. Because I mean, what's all that money for if you haven't, bought, 150 backpacks for school, or donating $50 like consistently every year to a program? Do something, right? Because at some point you advance. So with that money, and that blessing, invest in other programs and other people. So maybe,
Cool.
JD wants to, go to Africa, or a program somewhere, right? And you're like, hey, it's going to cost me 10,000. So if 10 of us give him $1,000 so he can go on his venture, I mean, why not? Or even the
Sure.
property, like we're like, cool, let's jump in. So yeah, it's about investing.
That's definitely one of my goals, is to be able to just buy, franchises that where like 100% to 90% of the profits, instead of going to like me as an owner, just go out to charities, just like literally build like 4 charity businesses that are established. What
Right.
was I do have a question. Excuse me. What, I have the 3 C's. I have character,
Uh-huh.
connect. What was the third C?
Communicate.
Oh, communicate. Okay.
Mhm. So definitely JD. So I definitely see that because, you know, you came and filmed. You were very respectful, very business. You had very strong business practice. You were very effective in communication. You emailed. You let us know, hey, you know, your data's coming over. Your media pieces are coming over. You know, how would you like that? You asked us that. You know, as far as providing great customer experience, and then also sending us invoices. I was so eager to pay you. I was like, oh, we got to pay him, and to make sure, because I don't like to impact anybody's money, and so
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't come on time. And so just, I mean, those 3 C's will always help you, you know, really stand out above the rest. And so, and it's always why people will do business with you. You don't have to be the best. You do want to aim for that in your craft. But honestly, JD, people will work with you because you're JD and because you're that good. And
Yeah.
so that's the brand, right? And JD is the brand. And so I know you help people with your, with, you know, your, with, you know, they can order hats and the logos and so forth. But I mean, you yourself are just your own brand. So
Yeah.
it's an impressive thing to be able to display. So as leaders, as best as I can tell you, please make sure that you're using social media to brand yourself, because if we cannot find you, like if you're applying for a job or a contract, or you're looking for a collaborative partnership, we look you up on the internet. And if we can't find what you've done in the community, either on social media or there's not an article written about you, it's very hard to verify your receipts, right, and your proof. So it's whatever you can do to leverage your communication online, definitely do that for your advantage, but also to be transparent to the community.
Cool. Yeah. I agree 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there any, this is all, you know, great information, and, you know, to touch on, you know, earn, save, invest, and give. I agree. This is the formula, because what I explained to your son is one of the problems. Like when you develop, like I learned how to earn, you know, I learned how to make money, and you get excited, and because of, you know, I don't know, quote unquote rap videos, you see like, okay, you have to shine, you have to look cool, you have to have the coolest shoes, you have to, you know, look a certain way. And I saved a little bit, but I realized, like, you know, year 1, year 2, I had made this money. There was a year where I think I grossed $200,000, and at the end of the year, I really didn't have much to show for it. Maybe like $5,000 or something. And so I was like, you know what? And I wasn't giving to my community. I wasn't investing. And so I was like, I have nothing to show for what I've done. And so before I even started investing, I actually started giving. I started giving 10% to my church. I actually want to start giving, start a fund of 5% and doing, cause there's tithe and then there's charity. I'm very good at tithing, which goes to my church, which they do like amazing things all over the world. But I actually want to start taking 5% to 10% of my own money after my 10% and doing something. That's a goal that actually, after talking to you and talking to Mari, the debt slayer, I decided I want to do. I need to be more intentional about that. But first I started giving, and then I started getting, like I told you, that new energy. And then I realized, okay, if I save 10% and I invest 10%, that could be a game changer. And so I just came up with a 5-year plan. This all really started when I was about 32. I'm 34. I'll be 35 this year. And when I'm 37 is kind of, I'm going to analyze everything that I've done and make tweaks and adjustments. But and it changes, because now you even, you know, because if you just earn your and save, your money kind of just goes like this forever.
Right.
If you earn, save, and invest your money, it will have that J effect, to where, you know, it's earning, but now you're making money, your money's making money, you're giving back to the community, so you're meeting with more people that are giving back, and your brand just starts to explode year over year at a much more rapid rate than if you only earn. A much more rapid, it would go up if you earned and saved. But once you start investing and giving, whoo, that's the game changer to take your brand to the next level. And then, like Leena said, just documenting your journey on social media. If you follow me on Part of the Culture, you'll see that I do a lot, but you can almost see like where my brand starts to change. when I really started to apply the invest and the give. And then you start with the thing that I did not know is there's small deals. So when your son, like he's just first starting and he just bought, some Nike, and he just bought some Starbucks and some other stuff, But after he does that for a year or two, I told him, I was like, you're gonna have bigger chunks, and you're gonna understand investing. You're gonna understand, okay, I put $100 here, and that $100 pays me $2 for the rest of my life. Now you're gonna be able to take that same math, and you're gonna say, okay, wow, what if I take 10,000 or 50,000 and I put it into this property? Now that property is gonna pay you 2,000 for the rest of your life. So small investments lead to bigger investments, and I'm learning that even smaller giving leads to bigger giving, because now if I'm doing bigger investments, I'm able to give more. So the more you earn, save, invest, and give, the bigger your charitable donations to this world and to your family and to your community will be over time, and the more social and the more you'll attract like-minded people. So but you have to start with that right mindset. So this is amazing information.
So definitely what I see you do is, and I see a consistent pattern for you is, the more you learn, the more you earn. So you're taking the knowledge and to the application. So I don't know, I'm sure you've seen people who've gone to college, but they have not done anything with it, right? Or they took a course, leadership, but they're not good. I've seen someone not get promoted, and they took tons of leadership classes, but they had a very poor attitude, and they had no idea how to manage people or really work as a team member. So as a leader, what you have to do is always work as a team member first, humble and servanthood before you lead. And so if you can't be a great team member, you can't be a great leader. And so, so seeing you go learn, I mean, you just in a short amount of time, even just learning that. And so, cause I was like, he's doing houses now. I was like, what? But I had no question and no doubt. And then seeing that process online, you did it well. And then I'm like, he has this person, what is the gentleman's name that is kind of your cartoon,
Ivan.
Ivan.
I'm about to do a video with him later.
And then people might not get it. I'm like, you're going to see Ivan make heck of it. Ivan's not even like, he's like real and not real, right?
Yeah.
But it's entertaining. It's a different interface. It's a different level of engagement. And so, and it's also like, cause we all have an Ivan where we're like, it's a lighthearted person.
Yeah.
But you're the JD that's serious, that wants to do better, that wants to give. And so it's very commendable that you've analyzed that, like, where you saw where you gave and how that changed. And then as you made more money, you were able to give more. And I think people are scared. And I've been there too. Like I don't know, what if I give this money, what if the vacuum cleaner breaks? I mean, stuff like that. I mean, I had a $50 vacuum cleaner. It wasn't, so I didn't have all this extra income. Right. And so I tell Madi, I said that poverty mindset and that fear is ugly, so I share, I say, oh no, I rob Peter, Paul, Juan, Jose. I mean, not literally, right? But in the sense like, okay, if I pay this credit card and do that credit card. And so, getting out of that and not having that fear of like, what's going to happen next? It's not like the boogeyman. It's really setting yourself up for financial success. And it's a discipline. So I call it having that financial muscle that you have to exercise and learn and continue to actually, just the way you would your body, right? You take pre-workout, if you take that, or you're using weights, that's a constant discipline. So it's impressive to see you have grown in such a short amount of time. Because even during COVID-19, I was like, he can't do it at the house, right? You're like, nope, you had the mask on. I was like, oh my God. I was like, he ain't playing. You're like, we're done. I'm like, why did he just started? So, and you're like, okay, look what I did. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so you might just be like, it's something small, it was a small project. I was like, well, the rest of us got masks and we're staying at home. And so, and you're like, we're done, and putting it out in the market. And so even through COVID-19 though, right? I mean, I can definitely speak to God, how God will keep you on purpose, because if you only lost $30,000, like COVID-19 can't prevent you from your original divine assignment. So, right? I mean, you're still winning. So it's a good thing.
Winning. Well, the thing is that, and then the thing is that
I don't feel bad for you, JD.
No. The thing about it too is it's you said something like the more you earn, the more you learn, the more you earn. So, I was able, and it's not like I made a ton of money, but I took I used social media. And I showed people the journey to the point where people felt like they were building the house with me. But for those people who were interested, I was actually able I threw a course on how to buy your first property. I made money from that. Not a lot, but it helped people figure out, like, okay, if JD could do it, then I could do it. And so I did the course at the house with my business partners at the house that we built. I did my stock summit at the house. So I was able to, even though I didn't make money from the investment, I was able to use the investment to make money. And that jumps, and I'll jump and caveat into my next thing. You talk about giving. And so this is specifically for people who are afraid to give.
Yeah. I've been there. I was that person before.
I was too. I looked at my ex, she was balling, didn't give a dime. And I was like, I don't need to give nothing, you know? And so, cause I was like, why would I want to give any of my money? But this is one of those things that, like, if you get this, then you have to do it to get it. And when you start to give, you tank your mind. She was worried about a $50 vacuum cleaner. I almost want to say she can laugh at that now. She was worried about a $50 vacuum cleaner. People are worried about giving. I told my boy, he never had money. I was like, just give $1, $5, because you go from a scarcity mindset of there's not enough to buy a vacuum cleaner to I could sell vacuum cleaners and make money, to I could there's a trillion ways to make money. People wonder like, how am I able to do so much? It's because I give so much. And so, and there's so many like gems in this podcast. I'm looking at it. But once you start to give, the world, the same measure that you give is the same measure that you receive. So every time I give, the world says, okay, you gave me $1,000, whatever the amount is. You gave me $1,000. I'm going to show you how to make $10,000. Okay, you gave me $1. I'm going to show you how to make $10. The world tells you and gives you signs on how to make money. For example, like, I promise you, before I didn't give nothing, I had $54 to my name. I said, the next dollar that I make, I'm giving 10%. And I started giving 10%. And then all of a sudden, so like, I'll just give the beginning story. I didn't give anything. My boy, who I actually mentioned, he just got out of jail and he needed a place to stay. And I started giving money, and I was tithing, and my boy, he was like, I need a place to stay. He's like, it's only a day or two. I was like, I only have one bed. I'm like, you're not sleeping on the bed. And I had a studio. Half of it was a screen print shop and half was my house. I was like, look, I got blankets. You can crash on the floor. So he actually wound up crashing with me for a few days. But I seen him get out of jail. He got a job, and he was able to, in like a month, he was able to save maybe like $2,000, $3,000, right? And here I had a business that I've been working for years, and I only had $54 to my name, but I had started tithing. And after having him on my floor, that my first light bulb went off. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to humble myself and get a job. But it was, I'm telling you, I started tithing, and then it was like I was stuck in my own ways. Then I was like, I let my boy crash, which, no, never mind. I'm not gonna get into that. But then I got a job. I was like, all right, I'm gonna start looking for a job. Someone I bartended, so I had like a night job, but I only worked like 1 or 2 days a week. I was walking downstairs. I was a little sad, a situation in my life. And she's like, oh, what's up? And I was like, oh, whatever. And she's like, but I was like, all right. Somehow I talked about how I was looking for a job. She's like, oh, they're hiring at my company. She's like, just give me your resume. I sent my resume. She's like, this won't work. She had me redo my resume, and I got a job. Once I got the job, I didn't lose my business skills, and I wouldn't stop giving. So now I had my job, and then I was able to take my business and not use any of the money. And then I learned how to leverage my business to where I could still work my job all day and then work maybe like an hour or two in the morning, an hour or two at night. And I was able to still build my business and have a job. But now my job was paying for all my bills. I was, I had a 401k. I was giving, tithing and charity. And then now I wasn't just surviving off my business. So then I had my business, and I still had my 1 or 2 nights a week. And so I went from making from $54 to fast forward 2 years later to being able to invest in properties. And it really, the seed of all of that was faith in God
Yep.
you know, like she said, prayer and scripture, but it was tithing, it was giving.
Yep.
I could, if I would have bought in that $50 vacuum cleaner, I would have $4 to my name. And that's by giving is how I turned my whole life around. That was the seed of change. And I can't tell you, I always joke about it, and I try to say this, I'm not even going to tell the joke. Just give, and it takes you from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. That's why I recommend it so much. And you'll start seeing so many different ways to make money.
Right. So I'll tell you, here's a spin-off from your secure the bag. So what I found was, that actually comes from DJ Khaled. So those who listen to DJ Khaled will know that that's a familiar term. So, right, it's all about making money. Secure the bag means secure the purse, make more money. But oftentimes I see people who have a Louis Vuitton, but they don't have any money, or they have a nice purse, a designer purse, and they have no money in there. And so really not only is it about securing the bag, right, but it's being prepared for that abundance and to give that abundance. Because what's it worth if you have nothing in there in your purse? You're like, oh girl, you want to go eat? Maybe next week, because you can't afford it, right? And so you don't have to front, but you have to like believe that you're worth the blessing and that it's coming your direction, but also that you're going to give that to other people. Because when, as a leader, as you acclimate, like your job is to help build the community. It is to either give time, treasure, or talent, or all three. I mean, it doesn't make sense to be as smart as you are, be amazing as you are, and not be able to leverage your connections that way. Like, that doesn't make sense. So anytime someone needs something from me, it may not directly come from me. Like, you might be like, oh, hey girl, I need concrete. Well, I don't personally have a concrete company, but I have the homie hookup. So if you need concrete, so I tell people, what do you need? Cash to concrete, we got you covered. And they're like, how do you have that? I'm like, because I know a lot of people and we want to see you win. And that's what it's really our strong core value is being leaders that are investors who want to give. And so, really having to work, and it's a daily exercise, so that we're not, because we have to exercise our financial muscle and then constantly, say that to each other, like, hey, we're about, pouring into others and so forth. And so it was really, walk the walk and talk the talk. And so I love how you say that was a seed of change. So I'd have to think more about that. Like, what was my seed of change? And like for me personally, because I love the tithing story, because when I first met you, I remember you're like, oh man, that's what's up. That was the most profound thing for you. And I was like, oh man, we're on the same page. And a lot of people, they don't understand that. They think like somebody put on my Facebook, they're like, oh, it's because they buy flyers. I'm like, that's not what tithing's for. Like, who says that? Like putting quarters in the basket. I'm like, no, that's not tithing.
You talk about scripture, and there's God. He does not like to be challenged at all. It's almost disrespectful. And it's because you can never say like, hey God, like if you do this, I'll do this. But God gives only one challenge in the Bible. Only one. There's only one challenge that he gives to man. And he says, I challenge you to give me 10%, and I promise you that your brats will not overflow, that your wine sacks will not burst with wine. So he's saying, like, if you give to me, you could not handle the amount of blessings that I will give to you. And, if we talk about testimony, that's my testimony. I'll leave it there. I rent a room, like, to be transparent. I rent a room. I did invest in a house, but I'm staying here because, she talks about that Louis bag. I could easily go and stunt. I could easily go buy that dope car. I did splurge and buy myself a motorcycle, but, there's a strategy behind that.
Yeah.
But, I don't not like talking about money.
Room, though, that room is a sacrifice. It's temporary and it's long term. I had roommates. How uncomfortable it is for me as a female, a woman of faith, to have two male guys that I live with. I was like, what are people going to say that I don't believe in Jesus? And and so, but hey, I had to stay ready, like suitcase ready. And the only way to do that, because you can't sell your house immediately, you can't rent it, you can't even rent it out immediately. And so when a job offers you a job, you have to say yes and leave. And it wasn't in Fresno. So, I know what that's like. And, but honestly, God always shows up and shows out. I think it's impressive. What was that post you had? If you don't have a studio in your room or in your house, man, I was like, dang, I was like, he's not playing. I'm like, but it's true. Like, how could you not? So whether you have a big old mansion or you have one room, how do you not have a studio? Like, get it together.
2020, where you can broadcast and you could ask people, again, like I say this maybe as a guide, but we live in a time to where these videos that I create, I'm in my backyard. I'm doing a podcast. I haven't left my house yet, and I've already made money from one source. Today, I made money from another source yesterday, not a lot. I'm able to sell courses from my home. I'm able to say, so it's like you can use, even though like I'm going to use, they say there's a term like use the whole pig. And so don't don't sleep on the assets that are around you. And again, we talk about giving. The more I give, the more I see like even my house, like, and we talk about God a lot, but like even my house sometimes, like I look at my backyard and I'm like, yo, are you using this? Like, are you using this to get stronger? Are you using this to help people advance? Are you using this like if you don't use this backyard that I have provided, or your room, which I have provided, or your phone, which I have provided for you, or your car, which I have provided for you to advance yourself and others, then you're not going to use this mansion. You're not going to use a nicer car. You're not going to use whatever's at that next level. You're not going to use that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Are you using these headphones to get, or do you need the nice? So like, are you waiting to get the nicest clothes to work out, or the nicest gym, or will you just get down and give me 10, 20, 30 push-ups? So like, are you using your space? And I'll transition into, you know, maybe our last point. I don't want this to go too long. This has been heat. I want people to be able to, you know, take some action, but put the work in. You know, I think that, you know, I think that you can make money without hard work, and I think there is, but I still believe that you have to put in your 8 hours a day. You have to put in, and there's a lot of times like where I might work 8 hours and not make a dime. And there's times where I make 10 minutes and make more money than I made in all 8 hours. But the seeds came from that 8 hours. So, you know, maybe you could end on speaking on, you know, work ethic and putting that work in.
So work ethic is about how hard you hustle, right? In that regard, you always want to give it your very best and with your craft, and consistently master your craft. And so as you advance in the kingdom, as you advance in your leadership, it's not working hard. It's so when they say working smart. So one of the things we say, and if I can say this with all due respect as minorities, we say, oh, you got to hustle. Like you got to work till 10 o'clock. Like this is not a joke. And we push that, but God does not want us to be a slave in the kingdom. He wants us to advance. So, you know, our white counterparts do a very great job as they become CEOs. I mean, they leave at 3, they don't work till 10. They delegate out, they spread the wealth out to the, you know, the work out to the team. But as minorities, we tell each other like, JD, you better work till 10. You better work, man. And, you know, you'll tell me back. And it's like, and I don't believe that. I don't believe we're meant to die like that. I don't believe when you're meant to live like that. And so you sharing how to make money, you know, basically you can go to sleep and your money makes money. So, you know, that's not you going to work wearing, you know, steel toe boots or even a suit, whatever your line of work is. It's not showing up that way. It's learning how to leverage what you have. And so work is really being really great when you're there, being present and giving it your all. It doesn't mean, I would really encourage that. So as I've learned that the last few weeks out here in the Bay, and it's hard because out here it's about the grind, but the grind doesn't mean 24/7. The grind means give it your all. And show up and show out and give it your all. And so I encourage that as kingdom builders, that we don't believe that you have to give it your sweat, blood, and tears. If you choose to do that for a short amount of time for the long-term investment, that's a different concept. But to work like to death, I don't believe we have to be like that. I don't believe that to be true.
So, you know, I will say, I think his name's like Brad or something. He's I seen him on social media, but he's right. Like, I leverage out my time a lot, and I talk about this a lot. Like, I have a team. So this morning, I told you I made some money, so I'll break it down. A friend of mine wanted some shirts, not a lot. And so what did I do? Okay. So I took 10 minutes. I told her she's new, she's young. She's only like 21, 22. It's her first time doing a shirt project. And I said, okay, you need to submit it like this. So she made the changes. She submitted it. She sent me the artwork. I just got on the phone. I called, I ordered her garments, 10, 15 minutes, really probably 5 minutes. Then I sent out the artwork to my business partner, and I said, hey, this is what's coming down the pipeline. I have one guy that I work with. I just say business partner. He could say he works, so it doesn't matter. But now he's going to take care of that. So all I have to do is the stuff's going to come in the mail. I'm not doing anything for this. The stuff's going to come in the mail. And then I'm going to just literally, and I could have sent it directly to him, but I just, because of COVID and stuff, and how it's worked. It's going to come in the mail. Then I'm going to drop it off to him. He's going to print it. So that drop off, 15 minutes, really a 5-second drop off. Yeah. Then I'm done with that project until he calls me and says, hey, it's done. And then all I'm doing is taking to the client. I made my money already.
Right.
I'm doing a bunch of masks. I'm doing about 3 or 4 different mask projects. The clients called me, hey, I need masks. I set up the artwork. I'm doing some shirts. I tell my other business partner, hey, this is what's coming down the pipeline. I need some masks. This is what it looks like. I send out the mock-ups. So I spend some time doing the mock-ups and stuff. But now I have two different business partners working for me. And so that's going on like concurrently. Another thing that's happening right now is my house is in contract. I have a real estate agent who's making sure that my house is going to be sold. So now my house is being sold. So now I have 3 people working for me. If you want to go even deeper, I don't wash my own clothes. My clothes I just drop them off, and I have a service that washes my clothes. So now my clothes are being washed, my house is being sold, my shirt projects are being worked on. I post videos on Instagram. People could simultaneously be watching those right now. And so I'm leveraging my time. I still put in my 8 to make sure that I'm creating quality content. I'm just spent an hour on this podcast. I'll probably spend another 2 or 3 hours editing this podcast. So I do work. But once this podcast is out, I don't have to Instagram's going to promote it for me. Leena's going to help me promote it. Facebook's going to help me promote it. I'm not going to just be standing on the corner. Hey, listen to my podcast. I'm going to leverage it. But all of these things are constantly going on in my 24-hour day to where, yes, I do believe in hard work, but I do believe in building a team of people around you that help your money grow. And, I have stocks, which they're growing and they're going to pay me my money just for loaning them money. And so when those companies make money, I make money. So there's a lot going on so that my net worth, whether I do anything or not, my net worth is always creeping up because I've learned to build leverage. So that's, how that hard work thing to where I could just end the day right now and have made me, hit my sales quota. But I continue to go hard because, I don't want to forever rent a room.
Right. But that's impressive because it's a sacrifice. So the way I say the best thing you can do for yourself. So I don't know that I would necessarily call it equivalent to hard work, but you can. Yeah. So I say leverage what you know with who you know and cross it over. Wow. So if you don't have $1 million, so I was told even as a kid, my dad goes, you don't have to be the millionaire, but you need access to capital. So you need to have access to the millionaire. You always have to have a millionaire in your pocket, a lawyer and an attorney, a lawyer and a CPA or accountant. And so really, because as your money grows, somebody has to track it for you, or you can track it yourself. But if you're busy doing other stuff, you need someone to be, like a tax advisor and so forth. And the lawyer, because at some point as you continue to advance, someone will sue you or you'll get in kind of a mess. So that's what you need a lawyer for. It's kind of like a pit bull, but it's in the courtroom. So leverage, it's always leverage what you know with who you know, and then cross it over. So who do you know? So you don't have to, it's people that you know, and then it's connecting with them, and then it's what you know, and you put it together. So I'm very grateful for the connections that I have, and I put them all in the same room, and everybody walks out with more money. I mean, it's just so they go, give Leena whatever she wants because it's on and cracking. And I'm like, yes, it is on and cracking. So let's go. So, it's really about economic growth and putting money in your pocket and really advancing you to the next level. And they don't call me and say, I don't want to meet JD. He was terrible. They're like, you know how much money I made?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that for you.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
They're like, oh man, I love him. And I'm like, okay.
So yeah. I appreciate you. I definitely want to say thank you for coming on the episode. How can people find you, Leena?
So they can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well, and LinkedIn. And I love TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, that's an incredible marketing tool. And I'm actually going to use that as part of my pitch to be on a board. I'm also at LeenaMendoza.com, and so you can find articles about me on the internet as well. So
cool. I will tag you in the show notes. You'll find this on iTunes. It'll be on YouTube, and then some clips will be on our social medias. I definitely want to thank you. This was a powerful meeting. I wish I could show you the notes that I have. It's my goal. I actually want to do a blog post on this episode because there's so much heat. But I just want to thank you. So any last words?
Yeah, so JD, I will definitely keep you in prayer. And so as you continue to use your gifts, 1 Peter 4:10 that God has given you, that you continuous unapologetically ask God to give you whatever you need and want. So it's Matthew 7:7 to ask, seek, and knock. And my lasting words for our audience is that I pray and hope that you continue to cling to the cross as you can, and then you continue to help other people, because ultimately that's what it's about. So it's about flexing your leadership muscle and building our kingdom.
I appreciate that. I pray that you impact other people as you have impacted me. So I hope that God continues to bless you and your family and everybody in your network and this entire world. I'm going to call it a day. Have a blessed day. This is the Part of the Culture podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Part of the Culture, or you can go to my website, PartoftheCulture.art, and you can get all of my links, blog posts, access to me. You can reach out to me. So PartoftheCulture.art. Thank you, Miss Leena. Have a blessed day.